Hello, hello, hello. What's up, everybody? It is Saturday night, so you already know it's time to go in on the Bad Batch one more time. One last time for the year. Super excited that it already got amped up and picked up for a season two, so we know we have that to look forward to. And thank goodness we have that to look forward to because my oh my, I have to say right out of the gate, spoiler alert, I was not the biggest fan of the finale. The first part of the finale, part one, absolutely amazing. Loved it. Had me totally in, hook, line, and sinker. And then they just come up with this second part that was like, are you kidding me? Like, how did they not just combine the first two? Like, why didn't they just make the last two like the first two and make it an hour long? I don't even understand that because it was the finale wasn't a finale. It was just kind of like the filler to the show that happened right before it. Like, oh yeah, they got out and this is how. Like, I don't know. I think they could have done a lot better. Some of these episodes, like I said, the second to the last show, the part one of the finale was amazing, but man, just so lackluster. And you know me, I'm kind of hard on finales anyway. I don't really. It's hard. I guess it's just crazy hard to bring it in and finish it off the right way because man, there are a lot more misses than hits when it comes to finales. But like I said, I'm super excited that we have another season to look forward to, so that's not going to end it right there. What's up, Jake Cruz? I see you out there. What do you think about the finale out there? Were you stoked on it? Did you like it, or was it a little lackluster for you as well? I don't know. It just was not, I don't know, it wasn't up to form. As good as that first part was, as great as part one was, like, just had me looking at the screen like, you got to be kidding me. They're going to leave it there. And then to just kind of come through and basically cross some T's and dot some I's. And, oh, well, that's the finale. See you next year. Yeah, exactly. It was all right. Not my sentiments exactly. It was all right. Not amazing. I mean, basically, this one could. I mean, this was the Bad Batch season one, episode 16, and it was called Camino Lost, but it could have just as easily been called Escape Room. I mean, that's all it was basically the escape room trying to get out. And I mean, it was cool with the open, how it opened right where we left off with Admiral Rampart looking out, you know, on all his destruction he had caused. And as we watched Camino's most prominent city just sink into the sea, like, oh, it kind of picked you up and left you with those feels right where it left you off. And then a clone enters and solemnly tells the Admiral that the job is done, Camino is destroyed, and Admiral Rampart seems mildly pleased, but he's lacked like an unsettling amount of emotion for someone who basically just destroyed the most prominent city on the planet. It's like he's like, oh well, there's another day. Let's go. Let's get it on to the next one. Dude, you just destroyed basically an entire planet, knocking this city out, and you're just like, okay. And you could tell the clones were feeling some kind of way. They were made to destroy basically their own homeland. That was ruthless. And as we flash to our crew, they're still running for their lives, trying to escape the wreckage, but they get knocked out from one of the blasts that also separates them. And AZ wakes up early to rouse the rest, and he's glad he woke up. He's glad he woke up Omega because the room's filling up with water. And he says if she dies, he'll be left here all alone. And knowing that he has these so-called feelings, we know that's going to come back into play a little bit later. Because that was kind of weird, like, oh, I'll be left here all alone. It's like, you're a droid. Why do you care? But you already know they try to humanize all the droids in the show. And I loved how Tech like said the facility's offline. I can't override the system. And Record was just instantly like, I can. Like, he is definitely my hero of this show. I love me some Record. I think at some point we'll definitely get a redemption arc for our sniper. Man, I don't know. I think it's kind of showing me that Crosshair's done. I think I called it. I think there is no redemption for Crosshair. This is just him. This is what he wants. He wants to fight for the Empire because he's kind of an evil bastard himself, and he's all good with it. He's ready to leave his boy. And I think Wrecker said it best. Like, we're all thinking, like, oh, man, he had a point. Like, you know, Hunter and the crew went around and saved all these people they didn't even know and helped everybody else in the galaxy and never went back for their boy. But Wrecker called it. He's like, you could have just as easily come to us. Like, we would have taken you back. Like, you could have escaped. There's plenty of ways for you to get out, and you didn't do it. I mean, you could kill your whole crew right here in front of us. You could have killed your crew on any one of your missions and just came with us. So I loved how they put that in. That was pretty deep. They're slow rolling his redemption. They sure as hell are, because I see no end in sight for this man. I see him dying as his only redemption. If he puts his life on the line for one of the crew, then maybe he gets his arc. But other than that, I think Crosshair's out of it, man. I don't know if there is any redemption for this guy. But yeah, it was weird to see how Crosshair blames everything on Hunter. Like, as soon as he woke up, he's all, "What did you do?" Hunter's like, "I didn't do shit. This is your Empire's work." It's like Crosshair just has a disdain for Hunter. Like, he always has, and it was well before, like, they split up. Like, we saw in the first episode, they were kind of beefing at each other's throats. So Crosshair was just on one from the beginning. And he also still shows his complete disdain for Omega. Like, even when she's the only one coming up with viable plans to escape, like, "You're letting a child call the shots." The child is the only one coming up with any plans. I don't hear you coming up with any great plans. So what's your problem? Like, yeah, I just don't see this comeback arc for Crosshair, man. He's just not a good dude. And he tries to, like, diss Omega and Hunter again. And Hunter let him know real quick that Crosshair's way of thinking just makes him a pawn. Like, it doesn't make you better than anybody. It just makes you a pawn. And don't forget that the Empire is never going to see you as anything but a number. So what are we really talking about here? But the lack of suspense in this episode was kind of a bummer. I mean, they were in it, but somehow we knew they were going to make it out all right. And I just kind of feel like this episode was missing something. And I think that something was a bunch of great cameos that we never got. I thought, sure, we were going to get some cool cameos in this episode. But nay, we're left wanting, which is kind of BS. I don't know. It's like, how do they not? I mean, they didn't bring anybody in. Like, nothing. Again, there's just really nothing to this episode that they couldn't have just tied to the back end of the last one. But yeah, I feel that, yeah, they should have just done the same thing with this episode as they did with the first one and just combined the two and made 15 and 16 just a longer episode. I don't know why they didn't do that. I mean, we saw some glass that never really cracked. We saw a sci-fi sea manatee that almost caused some problems, but was easily disbanded. Like, I mean, it was cool to hear Wrecker and Tech's side of things. I like that part of it. Be able to hear what Wrecker thought about the situation and Tech kind of coming in. I mean, it's like, Crosshair's like, "Why are you sticking up for me?" He's like, "I ain't sticking up for you. Just because I see how you are doesn't mean I agree with you. I just see the way you are and, call it like it is." So yeah, I was real glad we got to see that from Tech and Wrecker and hear their side of things on how things are panning out. And we did get a few things solidified. That the fact that Omega is actually older than the rest of the crew, kind of called that last episode, but they solidified that. And through all of this, Crosshair is still chiming in for the Empire, saying this is what happens when you let a kid call the shots. Like, again, we haven't heard you come up with any great ideas, so what the hell is your problem? And even Omega tried to connect with Crosshair, but she realizes it's not going to happen. Like, this isn't his inhibitor chip. He's just an asshole. Like, that's just the way it is. So again, yeah, it's going to be tough to see a comeback arc for Crosshair. And he did, however, bring up the fact that AZ could get him through the debris and safely guide him topside. So, like, when they were in it, he was actually able to sync his brain up with the crew and come up with a viable plan. Once they thought they had a way, he kind of solidified it and made sure that it was going to work out. And the plan works for most of the crew, and they get to the top. And at first, I was like, why are Crosshair and Hunter sharing a tube while little old tiny Omega gets a tube to herself? I was like, that didn't make much sense. But we got to see why, as Omega's tube gets hit by debris, sending her back down, and AZ has to save her and gets her back going on the right direction. But in doing so, he ends up running out of juice, and he says it's okay as long as she's safe. And it's like, aw, little AZ. It's like, how they get us catching so many feelings for these droids? These bots are just doing it. Oh, there he is. Some people prefer to be ruled. Yeah, I mean, he just likes structure in his life. I mean, that way of thinking, he's just on par with it. Like, he agrees with it. It goes to his inner means. 23 minutes didn't leave a lot of time to do that much. Yeah, again, if you're just going to have 23 minutes, why not just tack it on? You already had one episode in the beginning for the opener. Why not have a long episode for the finale? I mean, that ties in perfectly, I think. I can't believe they didn't do that. They didn't need to make it 16 episodes. Could have been a long 15. I think Crosshair has a backstory that caused his bitterness. Really? How's he have a backstory? They're just clones. They're all clones that got made in the same lab. So how is his backstory any different? Or did they just give him like the asshole gene and turn him into that way to see what would happen? I don't know. It's just kind of crazy to me. But yeah, Crosshair is just an asshat. He's proven that over and over. But of course, Omega's not having it and risk her life to save the little bot. Like, once the bot was like, okay, you're safe, I'm out, and start sinking, she can't be doing that. And it's like, just how much like humans should these droids be considered? I mean, you can make another droid. You're going to kill yourself. A little harder to make another clone. But some people may say clones are just kind of droids. So who knows? I don't know. But Omega frees herself from the safety of her tube to dive down after AZ, and I believe this sequence was put here to once and for all put down the rumors, like I've been calling from day one, that Omega is not, I say again, is and not a Force sensitive. Oh, so many people. Sorry, Moni G, if you're watching this later, I think they just proved to us that this little girl is not Force sensitive. I don't see how a clone can get midichlorians, but yeah, the fact that Omega needed AZ to guide her tube through the debris, if she was Force sensitive, she would have been able to throw the debris out of her way or make her tube miss it. Also, if she was Force sensitive, she would have been able to, she wouldn't have had to jump out of her tube. She would have just used the Force to grab AZ and guide him back to the top. Basically the same way Luke Skywalker did with C-3PO in the Ewok village. He's like, oh, tell him you're a god. And he closed his eyes and he raised C-3PO up in the air. And because he had the Force and he used it. I think if Omega had the Force and could use it, I think she would have been able to do the same thing with AZ without having to dive down after him. And then she wasn't strong enough to pull him up anyway. So, yeah, I think that's kind of maybe one of the biggest points of the show was to show us that, indeed, Omega is not a Force sensitive. But that's me. I don't know. I think, let's see, they had a lot of missions scratched in the wall. Anything could have happened. Oh, yeah, as far as that back end, yeah, that could have been. But they were all there for that. So, I mean, it seems like they would have known that and been able to deal with it, not been so put off, like, why didn't you come back to us? But maybe. Super Force sensitive. The Force needs training. She has to go Dagobah. I don't know, maybe if she's a clone, whatever Jedi she's using as clone parts, and that's where she's getting her midichlorians, should have already kind of had some feeling and know how to use it. You got Baby Yoda, my man Grogu out there. How much training did he get? He's just a little tyke. Like, he gets wore out when he does anything, but he can still do stuff. Now, yes, those Yoda creatures seem to be able, we don't know what they are, but they seem to be more in tune with the Force than all other creatures. But again, it didn't seem like little baby Grogu had a lot of training, and yet he was still, I mean, the Force is just natural. It's like almost like it's almost like an instinct that you would use. Like, something would happen, it's almost like her instinct would take over to grab the bot and bring him back and use the Force. She didn't do that because she can't do that because she is not, I repeat, not a Force sensitive. We called it early. Basically, the entire fandom thinks she is, and I'm just out here standing on my hill alone as usual. Like, no, this little girl does not have the Force. And so far, proven right. So we'll see. I'm sure they're going to dip into that more in season 2 and probably tease it and all that other stuff. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, we called it early. This girl is not Force sensitive. And that was basically the main thing of this episode, was to prove it, because she would have used it, and she didn't. But yeah, that was kind of crazy. If she would have been able to guide her tube through the rubble, maybe. But yeah, again, she didn't use anything, so I don't think she is Force sensitive. But Omega does reach AZ, and like I said, isn't strong enough to swim him up. And then we see Crosshair raise his rifle to aim, and we think he's aiming at Hunter, but no, it's not at Hunter's head. At first, like we thought, but it's actually to save little Omega and the bot, and it's like a little pulley thing. He shoots him and pulls him back to the top. And once on the platform, Omega seems distraught to see like Tapoka City falling into the sea. And I was like, why is she so upset about this? Like, she never wanted to return here in the first place. So shouldn't she be glad to see it gone? Why is she so sad? Like, now she truly never needs to return to this place. So it seems, I don't see why she's so bummed out about it. Unless it's just the destruction of, I don't know. Yeah, I don't see why she's so bummed. If she hated this place, she should be happy to see it sink into the sea. That's what I think. Luke didn't do shit until Ben came around. I mean, yeah, he had definitely had a little more training by then. But again, baby Grogu, we don't know like his total origins or where he came from, but he's able to use the Force, and he's just a little thing. And it seems like Omega might even be older than him. So I don't know. Like I said, I think it's more of an instinct. But yeah. I'm tired of Vegas, but I don't want to see it burn. Yeah, that's true. I mean, like I said, maybe it is just the destruction and all the force of life that she saw that being created in there, and all the scientific, things that they came up with, and all that's just gone and jumping in the sea. And maybe a little, but as much as she didn't seem to want to come back to this place, I don't think she should have been quite that bummed out to see it sink into the sea. But maybe she's just a sensitive one. She didn't like it all. She didn't want to see anybody get hurt. But our crew gives Crosshair one more chance to join them, but Crosshair isn't having it, showing in the end it really was his choice not to be on the crew anymore. And Omega says that they're your brothers and you're my brother too. And when Crosshair has some time to reflect on all this, like, will his stance on Omega soften? Like, probably not, but when he's sitting there waiting for the Empire to come up and pick him up, he's going to have some time to think about some things. And I don't know, maybe we'll see that maybe Omega's not so bad. And the fact that they are brothers and sisters, like they're all from the same place, created from the same thing. So I don't know. I think it might soften, but I don't know. He's pretty much a strict asshat. And like Tech said, this is just his way. Like, he doesn't soften. He stays hard-nosed and doesn't let go. So maybe not. Maybe he'll just always hate Omega for basically taking the spot that he doesn't seem to want anyway. But our last scene doesn't so much leave us on a cliffhanger. It's just more of a one. I wonder what they have planned for Mistress Nala Se. It's still funny that they put in Mistress. Like, these horny little geeks up there writing these cartoons. Like, did you have to put Mistress in there? I just think that's crazy. Like, again, what was she doing with those little clones, making them call her Mistress? But all in all, I absolutely loved this series. I'm super pumped that they have season 2 coming. And yeah, for the most part, like I said, it had a lot more hits and misses. It had a lot more ups and downs. And I was all in on the Bad Batch this season. I loved it. Super pumped for the next season coming up. So what's up, Jake? You happy with it? You good with it? You excited to see the next season, or just kind of take it or leave it? How you feeling about this episode, this season, this series called The Bad Batch? I was absolutely digging it, loving it, and want some more of it. But yeah, gonna be pretty cool. Something will happen, and he'll see the light. You think Crosshair is gonna finally see the light and come back and be like, "Oh, Omega's not that bad, and she did kind of just save us all, and she saved me twice, so maybe not, maybe not." What are we going to do Tuesday now? Tuesday, we're still in on The Boys. This Tuesday, we'll be finishing The Boys Season 1, Episodes 7 and 8. We'll be getting down on that so we can get right into Season 2 because, again, still haven't seen Season 2. Been waiting this whole time. So, yeah, going to be getting into that. So, yeah, this Tuesday will be the season finale of The Boys. And, yeah, we'll just keep it moving. I've been watching the What Ifs, and, I mean, I like it. I'm into it. I'll have to see where it goes, but there's really not a whole lot to discuss. I mean, unless you were like, if this was like a Easter egg type of show or whatever, and I like pointing out all the Easter eggs and comparisons to all the shows, maybe, but I don't know, man. I don't know if there's really that much to talk about. So I might kind of wait for a few of the What If shows to come on, and then we can combine them all and talk about where it's going and what we think about it then. But as far as doing episode by episode, I don't know. I have to wait and see what the second one brings to us. But so far, it's like, I don't really know what we could break down on that one. But yeah, we'll definitely be back on Tuesday with The Boys, and yeah, we'll keep it coming. We got a breakdown of the Suicide Squad coming, so make sure you get that watched. Absolutely going to get in. Oh, on Saturdays. Yeah, Saturdays, we'll figure it out. We'll see. We got a few things coming up, but man, Titans is back. I got into Titans, and I know Fandom watches that, so that might be a fun one to do. But yeah, we'll see. Like I said, next Saturday, we'll probably be doing the Suicide Squad recap. So yeah, make sure you get that watched by next Saturday, and we'll be doing that. And yeah, we'll let you know from there. So Tuesday we'll be doing The Boys. Saturday we'll be doing the Suicide Squad, and yeah, we're just gonna keep it up and running. That's how we do around here. So I hope everybody's having an absolutely fantastic weekend, and it only gets better from here. Until we see you Tuesday, you guys be easy. Be good, everyone.